All right, take it away, Adam.
Okay, thanks, Ben. And thanks everyone for coming along, listening to the presentation and being interested in the wiki. And so I'll start with a quick introduction of myself, and then I'll just get on about talking about the wiki. So a quick self-introduction. My name's Adam. I'm on the RetireJapan forum quite a lot. That's my Twitter account there if anybody's interested. I've been in Japan since 2014, so 7 years. This is my 8th year in Japan. Most of that has been in Fukuoka. I had a small stint in Kyoto a couple of years ago, but I've been in Fukuoka mostly. And I'm a software engineer. So the wiki is not the main thing. It's just a side project that I'm doing as well as RetireJapan. I've been a software engineer basically since I finished university. So half of that has been in the UK, where I lived before coming to Japan, and half has been in Japan. Yeah, and I thought I'd just list some pros and cons about myself before I get started, in the context of RetireWiki. So I'm an engineer. I'm good at understanding systems. You know, I was always the kid that was watching those production line videos on TV about how things are made. I have a kind of strange obsession with knowing the rules, complicated rules. I go and read the law, and you know, it's useful for knowing things about like how EDCO works and how NISA works, stuff like that. And I like technology, so getting the wiki set up as well. So those things worked out. And in the first draft of this presentation, I had a list of bad points as well, but it started to get a bit too long. So I'm just going to leave it out. And let's just say there's lots of things I'm not good at. And I'm hoping that other people are interested in getting involved and can help do the things that I'm not good at. So that's me. Let's get on and talk about the wiki. So I'm going to split this presentation into 3 parts. First, I think I'm going to do the part that's going to be most useful for people watching this, which is just introduce the wiki, show what kind of information we have, and just give a quick tour of some of the articles and some of the contents. I won't spend too much time. You know, the presentation is only 30 minutes, but of course, you can go and look at the wiki yourself to read the articles in detail. And then in the second part, I'll talk a little bit about why I made the wiki, what the motivation was, and what I'm hoping it might become in the future. And in the third part, I'll talk about how you can get involved if you want to help out writing articles for the wiki or editing articles. Okay, so let's start with the first part. So I'll give a quick tour of the wiki. Now this is a live presentation, and I'm going to be doing a tour of a website. So it's possible that things could go wrong, right? So this is a screenshot right now. This is what the wiki looks like. The layout can be a bit different depending on the screen size, but this is the main idea. So if there's any problems with the connection, like if everyone starts accessing the website, it's just on a small web server right now, and things go wrong, I'm going to come back and use this screenshot as a base. And yeah, so this is what the wiki looks like with RetireWiki.jp. And I think if you've ever used Wikipedia, one of the first thing people will notice is that it looks very similar to Wikipedia. So at the top there is RetireWiki.jp, and at the bottom is Wikipedia, and they look almost the same. And the reason for that is that they're using the same software. So, but I'd like to emphasize that they're not related in any way. So Wikipedia is run by the Wikimedia Foundation, who created Wikipedia, and they created the software that Wikipedia runs on, and that's open source. Anyone can use that and make their own wiki. So that's what I've done. I've used the MediaWiki software to create RetireWiki.jp. So it's using the same software. That's why it's similar, but it's not related. But because it's the same software, then if you're used to Wikipedia, hopefully things should feel pretty familiar. So yeah, what is RetireWiki.jp? Well, this is the first sentence you get when you open up the wiki. So I'm just going to read it out. RetireWiki.jp is a community-maintained English language resource created by and for residents of Japan, covering all aspects of long-term residence and retirement in Japan. So that's a lot of words. What does it mean? Well, I think the main thing I want to emphasize is something Ben mentioned earlier, is that it's English language, right? So there's a lot of information available in Japan about how to manage finances, how to set up all of these tax efficient accounts, how to get brokerage accounts, which ones are good and bad, but it's all in Japanese. So either if you can't speak Japanese, or it's difficult, you know, to find information, it's much easier to have an English knowledge base, then that's what I'm hoping that the wiki can become. And another point is it's for residents of Japan. So it's not focused on anything else, it's about Japan. So that's the wiki. Okay, and let's just go through and have a look at some of the pages. So there's a lot of information on the wiki, and I'm not going to be able to cover all of it right now. But a couple of things I'd just like to say is that one, that this is all volunteer information by anonymous people. Like, I'm not anonymous anymore, obviously, but it's not professional advice, right? It's people just helping each other out. That's the idea of it. But anyway, these are some of the articles that we have on the wiki. So I'm just going to show you these articles and discuss a little bit about the content. And if it looks interesting and useful, you can go and have a look at it yourself. So let me switch over now to the web browser. So if that's going okay, then hopefully now you should be able to see the wiki. If something's not working, I can't see the Zoom chat for some reason. So please, someone come on audio and tell me if something doesn't work. So yeah, okay, so here's the wiki. And I think probably the first section here about savings and investments is the section that's going to be most useful for people. And I'd like to start by pointing out the Japanese pension system article here. So I'm going to open that article. And this article has been written by volunteers. I haven't had much involvement in this article myself, but this article is a good overview of how the Japanese pension system works. You can see the table of contents here. We've got a complicated diagram that's been converted from a Japanese one that was by the Japanese Pension Service. And it just talks about the different kinds of pensions there are, you know, the state pension if you're self-employed or unemployed versus the employee pension if you've got a job, and talking about how to get exemptions, exceptions, postponements for various things, like if you're pregnant or you know, other unemployment, things like that. All of that information's here. How much you're likely to pay if you're an employee, again, copied from the official information. Information about if you leave Japan, how to get some of the money back, and all sorts of things like that. And recently, a big section's been added on something called the survivor's basic pension. You know, if someone you're living with has died and you're entitled to benefits there. So a lot of information here. Definitely probably the main article on the wiki, I think, because it's all about retirement, right? So definitely worth checking out that article. And related to that article is another one called Nenkin Net, which is the second link here on the main page. And Ben mentioned this in his talk about the Japan Pension Service's website, where you can go and check your pension statement. So I'm just going to open the website quickly. So this is not the wiki, this is the official Japan Pension Service website. And one thing is about this site is it's actually got a lot of useful information in English. So if you click the international section up here, then you get various languages, but all of the English information is up here. The overview of the social security systems and national pension system articles are pretty good in English. And some of those have sort of been the base for the Japan Pension Service article I just was pointing out. Anyway, lots of English information here. But another thing you can do on the Japan Pension Service website is they have the service called Nenkin Netto, which allows you to check your Japanese pension, see how much you paid in, how much you're entitled to, all sorts of things like that. But that's only available in Japanese. So if you're comfortable with Japanese, just go and do it. You know, it's the same thing that you get on a postcard every month, every year, but you can get more detailed information. But if you're not comfortable with Japanese, then this Nenkin Net article on the wiki has been created by one of our users. Again, not me. That's one of the great things about the wiki. And it's got screenshots and step-by-step guides of how to register, what you need to click on to get your pension predictions and what it all means. So if you want to find out how your pension situation is doing in Japan, check out this guide, Nenkin Net. Next article, EDCO. As Ben mentioned, EDCO is a great account to have if you as living in Japan long term. It's very tax efficient. Now, this article is quite young. It's not finished, right? A lot of things are quite rough and ready on the wiki. So I wouldn't recommend this article as a guide to EDCO. Maybe go to RetireJapan.com and get Ben's book about it. That's probably one of the best English resources. But I wanted to mention this now because of the time of the year. So it's November. And if you happen to have an EDCO account and you're an employee that doesn't have to submit a tax return, but you pay the you pay the fee, you pay the investments from your personal account, then in order to get the tax benefits of EDCO, you have to claim it on your end of year tax adjustment at the company. So there's a section here, section 5 at the moment, end of year tax adjustment. This section shows you the name in Japanese of the field you need to fill out, the name of the form that has the information that you need, and then English translations, as well as a picture of the actual tax form that your company will give you. Maybe it's going to be electronic, I don't know. But anyway, this is the area. You just write the number in that box, and that gets you the money that you paid, the tax that you paid on your income for EDCO. It gets returned to you in December. So that's definitely worth checking out if you already have an EDCO and you need to know how to claim it back on as a company employee. Okay, another useful article in the savings and investments category is the Japanese Global Index Fund article. As Ben mentioned in his talk, a lot of people like to use index funds for investing for the long term, and especially in Japan, global index funds, right? Buy as much as you can in the world in the hope that you get the big companies that do well and the lower ones drop off. So this page lists some of the low-cost funds. Originally, I wanted it to be less than 0.2% management fee, but one of the most popular funds is just over that. So this page currently lists funds that are cheaper than 0.3%. And yeah, it's a good place to see what sort of the big funds that are available, suitable for investing in EDCO, in Sumitate NISA, even in taxable accounts. You can compare them here, see how much they cost, how many assets they have, what index they're followed, get the full Japanese information. And then below this is kind of a discussion. This information may not be completely accurate. This is what I understand from some discussions we had on the forum, comparing Japanese mutual funds that you can buy directly in Japan with other options, for example, US ETFs like Vanguard VT or VTI, something like that, and the difference in the tax implications of that as well. So yeah, have a read of this. And if you happen to know, if you know finance or you know tax issues, then updating this information would be really helpful. Okay, I think that's everything from the savings and investment category that I'm going to cover. And another article that I'm going to skip over the taxation section right now because tax is complicated and this is mostly quite threadbare, these articles. But one article that could be worth checking out is the permanent residency article here. And the reason for that is, if you're planning on retiring in Japan or living in Japan for a long time, a lot of people need to consider their immigration status and may want to consider if they would like to become a permanent resident in Japan. So this article has a lot of information gathered about becoming a permanent resident, getting the permanent residency status. It's got links to the official information in English and Japanese at the top, and then a few different sections about useful information. So there's a section here considering the pros and cons of permanent residency. The thing Ben just mentioned about some tax implications, I think some of that information is not here, so we'll have to add that. But the main thing is that there's it normally takes 10 years. You have to live in Japan consecutively for 10 years to be able to apply for permanent residency. But there's ways to reduce that time, for example, via spouse or the highly skilled professional point-based system. So both of those routes, you can reduce the time. You only need to live in Japan for 1 year in some cases to apply for the status. And then once you get that, you have a lot more freedom in how you can live your life in Japan. So there's a couple of sections on this page discussing details about that. Like we have a section here about converting from a spouse visa, including a link to a forum where people were mentioning issues they had with their spouse's pension that caused problems with the application. The highly skilled professional section has information in English that, as far as I know, is not available anywhere else in English. It's available in Japanese, but there's no English source. For example, one thing a lot of people don't realize about this highly skilled professional visa is that your employer is designated. You get a piece of paper in your passport that tells you who you can work for. So you can't change jobs, which is different compared to for example, the engineer or the humanities, what is it called? Specialist in humanities, international relations, something like that. That one, you can change jobs and then you just have to let the immigration authorities know. But with highly skilled professional, you can't. You have to reapply for the visa again. That's a consideration that the official Japanese, the immigration office information in English doesn't tell you. Another thing that this mentions is that you can apply for permanent residency with the point-based system without getting the highly skilled professional visa as a stepping stone. There's more paperwork, but that's an option. Anyway, getting a bit too detailed now, but that information's here as well. So yeah, if you're interested in permanent residency in Japan, this is a great resource to get some information. What else? Well, we have the country guide section is, as you can see, has only got 2 countries here. We've got an article about the US, but there's not much information here. There's a link here, Ben mentioned it earlier, the Reddit Japan finance community has got a bit more information about the US right now. But if anybody's watching this from the United States and interested in contributing, then please, yeah, this article definitely needs to be fleshed out. But we've had a lot of on the wiki so far, the people that have been registered have been from the UK. So we've managed to gather a very good article about the United Kingdom here, relevant for people from the UK or people who have worked in the UK or have relationships with the UK. There's a lot of information here. And I think this article actually is useful for British expats, you know, not just in Japan, but there's a lot of information here. So, but if you've ever worked in the UK, one section definitely worth checking out is the UK state pension section right at the top here, because you may be entitled to get the UK state pension. And that is a great asset to have in addition to the Japanese one, right, in retirement. So there's information here about how to check your eligibility, how to, maybe you need to pay voluntary contributions to get up to the full amount, you know, how to do that, what forms to look at, how the actual details to send the payments later, tricks to know, links to the Retire Japan forum, stuff like that. So yeah, check out the UK article if you're entitled to, if you've ever worked in the UK, and there's a lot of other information here as well. Okay, yeah, so that's it. There's other articles, but that's the main thing. Obviously, this is all edited by volunteers, me and other people, so it's going to grow from here, hopefully. But yeah, feel free to go and check it out. I want to switch back to the other slides now. Okay, yeah, there we go. Back to the presentation. So that was a quick tour of the wiki, what sort of information is there. I just want to talk a little bit now in the second part about, you know, what was my motivation for making the wiki in the first place and what I'm hoping it's going to become. So yeah, why a wiki? Well, when I moved to Japan 7 years ago, you know, I got a job, I started saving, and I'm looking at bank accounts with interest rates of like 0.01% and thinking, well, this isn't going to work. I need to start doing some kind of investments. And RetireJapan had just started around that point. So I found it, I signed up to the forum, had some discussions, worked out where I wanted to get started. And I stuck around, and hopefully I'm helping other people. I don't know if other people have ran into me on the forum, but yeah. But one thing that happens on the forum is that new people join and people have a lot of similar questions, and that's not a bad thing, right? That's what the forum's for, is to help people out. But from the perspective of someone answering those questions, it can get a bit repetitive to be typing the same information out over and over again. And eventually, what you don't want to happen is people just burn out and stop helping. So I thought, wouldn't it be great to have a place where that common information can be put in a simple place where we can link people to that, and then we can just reply the custom information for that person's situation. And that's why I created the wiki. But there's other ways to do that, right? It doesn't have to be a wiki, it could be a forum, could be a blog, could be a group on Facebook or whatever. But there's reasons why I wanted to make it a wiki. And the biggest one is that the content is editable. So it's not just me, it's not my personal site, it's a platform that other people can join and edit. And that means that the information is much more likely to be kept up to date, right? If it's on the forum, then someone on Google searching for a situation that gets links to the web, to the forum, they're going to see this like 3-year-old information relevant to the person at the time, lost in discussions with people getting sidetracked. So it's going to be difficult to find. But if it's on the wiki, then it can be a page specifically for that information, and it can be kept up to date by people who are interested editing the page and keeping the information there. And another benefit is because multiple people can edit it, we get a range of expertise. So I started the wiki and put some pages up that about stuff that I knew about. I mean, I mentioned a bit about permanent residency earlier, but people have started articles that I have no idea about. You know, a lot of information about the UK and some information about childcare allowance, all sorts of things that I wouldn't have thought of. The entire pension page. So yeah, it's definitely got a lot more useful information there because multiple people can edit it. And another good thing is the licensing. So all of the contributions are licensed under this Creative Commons license. I don't know if I can click on this. Maybe I have to change the window again. Just a second. This is the license called Creative Commons. That is the content is licensed under when you contribute to the wiki. So it's possible to share and adapt the content to the wiki. It's open for people to use under some conditions, like you must preserve the attribution of who wrote the thing, and you must share it under the same license. So let me switch back again. Yeah, that's a bit different. For example, if we'd have made a Facebook group or something like that, or there's the the Japan Finance group on Reddit, that's a great group as well. But for me, I wanted to make an independent system that's not subject to another company's user policy. You're not going to get your data analyzed by another company. It's just the wiki. And I can't use the data for my own purposes, right? As long if it's not conformant to the license. So that's another thing that I wanted to implement with the wiki. And okay, other things about the wiki, these aren't really inherent to a wiki. This is just sort of stuff that I've decided to try and make it a positive website. Because I would like the data to be impartial, and that has, especially because we're talking about finance, financial information, there's a lot of vested interest of information you can find online. If it's a personal blog, RetireJapan's a great resource. That's a bit different because it's all about retirement. But if you have a personal blog, you've got your face there, and people are trying to promote their self-image, make a presence for themselves online. So there's a bit of conflict of interest there. And the wiki is not a business. It doesn't have anything to sell. It's just there for the benefit of the users. So we can get impartial information, which means we can provide information that is beneficial to the people reading without worrying about if there's any ulterior motive there. But of course, the content is edited by volunteers. So we have to just be careful about making sure that what goes on doesn't end up being spam or anything like that. But we can control that by controlling who can join the wiki. And this is just a minor point, but it's also hosted in Japan. So I wanted to make a service for Japan. And you could, if it was hosted in America or something like that, right, we'd end up having the risk of it being shut down if it violates some policy or something like that. So it's a Japanese service for people living in Japan. That's another thing that I wanted to do. Okay, so yeah, that's it. But that's a great thing. But what do I get out of it? Where's the fame and glory? People might ask. Well, I'm not. That's not the intention, right? I'm kind of just a geeky engineer. I've got this information that I wanted to share with people, and the ability to make a platform. So I could make a website to share the information I know. But also, I thought there's probably lots of people in Japan with information that they're willing to share, but no good place to put it. So that's my hope, right? I would provide this platform, and people that want to share the information can sign on and just type it up, and other people can read it. And it's from my perspective, this is a charitable project. I'm doing it in my spare time. It costs me time and money. I'm not making anything from this. There's no ads. There's no analyzing user data or anything like that. Maybe in the future, it could become a non-profit organization, something like that. Or maybe it's just going to remain a kind of hobby project. We'll see. Yeah, so that's why I made the wiki. If you're interested in contributing, how do you get involved? Maybe editing a wiki sounds big and scary, something like that. It's actually very easy to edit the wiki. It's just a 3-step process. Click the edit button, type the changes, and click save. That's it. So I'm just going to give you a quick demo, actually, to show you how easy it is. If I can switch back, here's the web browser. Let's go back to the wiki. So I made a page called Sandbox. If I can type in English here. It's not linked from the main page, but we can search for it. So I'm logged in now. You can see there's my username. And here is a dummy page on the wiki. You can go to this now in your web browser if you like and see it. And if I want to edit this page, I just click the edit button here, wait for it to load. Now we're in edit mode and I can start typing. So this sentence was typed live during the RetireJapan conference 2021. and then we can do import section, very important section, and then make that a heading. There we go. So we're adding a very important section. This sentence will start live in RetireJapan conference, and then click save here and save. And then hopefully it's not going to go wrong. We'll see. There we go. Your edit was saved. And now if you go to this page, you can see that change live. So that's how easy it is to make a change to the wiki. Let me go back to the presentation. Okay, yeah, so there's the wiki. And if you're interested in helping out, then there's one requirement, which is that you live in Japan. Now, I know that there could be people who live outside of Japan that have useful information to add, but I just wanted to have that skin in the game requirement, right? If you want to edit the wiki about Japan, you need to live in Japan. That's just a blanket requirement that we've got for now. And apart from that, just pick a username. It needs to start with an uppercase letter for technical reasons, and send me an email. And if you can include in the email some information that helps me know that you live in Japan, then I'll make you an account. The full information is on this URL here. You don't need to remember the URL because it's linked on the wiki from the left, the menu bar on the left on every page. And also there's a link at the bottom with full information about how to sign up. So if you're interested in helping out, yeah, check out that link. Contributions would be greatly welcome. And yeah, finally, I'd just like to say thanks to the people that have already helped the wiki, especially Money Matters and Kuma have been editing articles. The wiki started in February this year, and a lot of the content there is thanks to them. So thanks a lot, you guys, for providing all this great information for people. And also recently, CAM, or CAM, I'm not sure how to read it, has recently added a lot of useful information about the Japan pension article also. These are not the only editors, but they've added quite a lot of content since the wiki was started. So thanks guys for helping out. And oh yeah, that's it. So yeah, a quick tour of the wiki. And I think that's everything. I'm going to stop sharing the slides now.
Thank you, Adam. We have
a
few questions in the chat.
Okay.